Being alone during the holidays, man, I can think that that's probably the worst crap that you're gonna have to deal with. And by all means, am I perfect? Hell no. I can remember. I don't know exactly what year. I think it was in 2000. We're about to go on to our deployment on Westpac, and I ended up getting in trouble. Got put on restriction, and this was actually during our pre-deployment leave timeframe. So I was not able to go home for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, none of that. I was stuck in the barracks on restriction. So that brings me up to kind of like what I want to talk about today. Restriction. In through all the years that have gone throughout the Marine Corps, I know for me, whenever somebody gets put on restriction, you lose everything. Basically, you're in a room with nothing, and that's just the way that it goes. And not too long ago, I was sitting here watching some videos here on TikTok, and I saw a young Marine, and she's on restriction. And her little topic down there on the bottom is it says board on restriction. Today was day 18, I think it was. And I don't know. I mean, to me, whenever one of my Marines was put on restriction, they lost basically their privileges. They go to the room to go pray to church, and they go to chow, and they come back. That is it. Now, as the battery commander, he had the right, the way that we had it set up, and that they could lose their TV, their stereo, or nothing else, nothing but MCIs in that room while that Marine was on restriction. Has that changed? I don't know. I mean, you got me. I don't know. I guess with everybody nowadays having cell phones and being able to do all kinds of stuff, but to me, that's kind of pretty jacked up. But the fact that okay, if you are on restriction, literally on restriction, what do you have to be doing lives on TikTok for? I mean, that's just me. But yeah, being on restriction is something that is a learning curve, I guess you could say, for a lot of Marines. I mean, for me, I would prefer to have the Marines do some kind of an EPD, extra punitive duties or something like that, instead of me having to worry about doing any kind of papers or documentation on them that is going to be able to affect them throughout the rest of their career. And I'll give you guys an example. Like I said, I by no means am I no angel. Marines are Marines. We get in trouble. We do stupid crap. And yes, I am no exception to that. I want to say in 1997, I had just been promoted to the rank of Lance Corporal. And, at Marines are Marines, we like to drink. We like to do all that kind of stuff and everything else. And, I've been in the fleet for a little while because I had just been promoted to Lance Corporal, graduated PFC from boot camp. And, I don't know how or why or whatever, but my best friend and I decided to just take off in the car from Camp Pendleton, California, and head out to Mexico. And I went down there to Mexico because I have family that lives down there in Rosarito in Mexico. So I went down there and man, we got plastered. We got hammered, hammered, hammered. And on the way back, I decided not to stay there at my uncle's house. So we decided to, hey, you know what? We're going to drive back. And back then it was just the fact that all you had to have was some kind of form of ID, military ID, whatever. And they waved us through the border checkpoint and everything else. And we went back stateside. Now, being a retarded Marine, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to be politically correct. But anyway, I wasn't thinking the way that I should have been thinking. And here I am looking at my buddy. He's next to me, and I'm saying, hey, guess what? Guess how fast I'm going? And I mean, I had the pedal peg down on my car. So I was going about 120, 125 miles an hour on Interstate 5, heading back down to Camp Pendleton, California. Now, to this day, I thank God that a highway patrolman pulled me over because I would have ended up killing somebody, whether it was my best friend or even myself or somebody else that was on the freeway during that time. So lesson learned. But the point that I'm getting at is the fact that my staff NCO, yes, did I get in trouble? Of course I did. Did I get put on restriction? Yes, I did. Did I have extra punitive duty? Yes, I did. But I was also hammered. I was reamed big time out in town by the civilian courts as well, because I had to do all kinds of classes for Alcoholics Anonymous, all that stuff and everything else. Luckily, the judge allowed me to be able to do these classes on base with all the other different programs that they had available there on base. And the extra punitive duty, I was able to do there on base. So that covered all my actual, my community service. But my staff NCOs took care of me because could have I gotten demoted back down to a PFC or gotten extreme paperwork done on me and probably got kicked out of the Marine Corps? Yeah, that could have happened. But staff NCOs are going to take care of their Marines. Now there are exceptions, of course. If something is too extreme that you just can't save a Marine, then I get it. I understand that. But there's so many cases where things can be addressed and can be taken care of with just doing some extra duties, making the Marine go dig a hole when you're out in the field, do some kind of crazy crap out there in the field. And I used to give my Marines the option. I'm going to give you two options. You're going to go over and grab my shovel, my water jug, go out there, and you're going to keep digging until I tell them to come and get you, or we're going to go ahead and do the NJP paperwork right now, right here out in the field. And by the time I get back, you're going to get NJP. And the Marines, for the most part, they wanted to go out there and dig. And, just wanted to get my point across so that way they would understand, like, hey, yeah, you messed up. You did some dumb crap, but this is a way for us to fix it without you getting any paperwork, any paper trail that's going to follow you for the rest of your career.